incoming!
What the hell's that? And what the heck are those things?
Get away from my ship!
Welcome my YouTubers and Doctor Who fanatics to another Big Finish audio review. Today I'll be taking a look at a very special Big Finish audio which is known as Signs and Wonders. So yeah, I'm going to be doing my normal procedure. I go for the booklet or the cover art, then the blurb, then the booklet, then what I like and dislike about the story, and then my final verdict or rating. So we have the cover art, we have Sesame McCoy as the Doctor, we have Hex or Hector, and you know, with the Hex and Hector thing, it's been quite confusing with a lot of people. Trust me, it's not as simple as it sounds with Hex and Hector. It's not just a name change, it's something completely different and much more confusing if you follow the 7th Doctor and Hex trilogy. Anyway, we have an angel by here with an explosion in the background, with a helicopter flying in the background, and there's the crowd of people where they were cheering on in part 1 with one of the speakers. I won't spoil it anyway, but yeah, it's quite a big part of the story, that is, with the crowd. Anyway, we had the Herodyne. I think they got the Herodyne. I might be saying them wrong, but yeah, they're like worm parasites. I think they were featured in the Virgin New Adventure, which is I can't actually remember it. I think it's a cat. It's called Cat Cradle or something. But yeah, that's the exactly same monsters from Virgin New Adventures. So it's written by Matt Fitton, with the 50th anniversary logo, featuring Warren Brown, Jessica Martin, Amy Pemberton, and Philip Oliver as Hector. So at the side, we have the Sesame McCoy picture by there, Doctor Who Signs and Wonders, 191, looks like 19 on here, but it's just underneath there if you can see it. And then directed by Kent Bedley, 120 minutes approx, which is 2 hours. So for the blurb, the end of the world is nigh, but everybody is seen in their nightmares. That's why they are congregating in Liverpool, for the party to end all parties. Hosted by Rufus Stone, a celebrity turned doomsday prophet, he claims he's the only one who can save them when the day of judgment comes. That's the person who talks to the crowd, big part of the story, because he's on the side of the angels. The Doctor, Ace and Hector arrive to find the city in the grip of an apocalypse fever. It takes me a while to read that word. There are lights in the sky, earthquakes and power cuts. The Doctor is always determined to investigate, while Ace is more concerned about finding a way to restore Hector's lost memories. Meanwhile, in the River Mersey, hideous slug-like creatures are stirring. So there's the cast. So we can pause right by there to read them all. And if we open that, of course we have Disc 1 and Disc 2, which is a 4-parter. Yep, other releases, which are actually the before 7th Doctor and Hector trilogy, or Hex trilogy, whatever. You're learning more about the Hex and Hector thing when you listen to the full trilogy. It's like after Gods and Monsters and before Afterlife, you find out. Anyway, there's the writer's notes from Matt Fitton, behind the scenes, director's note from Ken Bedley, Doctor Who magazine, and then the next instalment, The Widow's Assassin, which sounds extremely interesting in my opinion. I'm very looking forward to this release and to review it. I think it's out tomorrow, that's just a guess. Anyway, there's the credits as well, and then there's the, well, if you want you can flip it over for a different design layout, the Sesame McCoy layout, but I'm not a fan of it if I'm honest. I know a lot of people like that layout, but I'll flip it over, but I personally like to have the 50th anniversary logo. You know, to keep all the monthly range the same. To my overall thoughts and opinions on Signs and Wonders. Signs and Wonders does feel like an end of an era, but the beginning of two, with a very apocalypse feeling, which is the end of the world type of feel, with earthquakes going on, lights bursting out, explosions, people basically crying for help, really, with the crowd, and hideous monsters in this one which eat people alive, which is quite disturbing in some places, as well as a very powerful foe as well. And I would say it feels like a new adventure book, those Virgin books. It feels like in that sort of territory, which people, I know a lot of people really do love the Virgin books, and I would definitely recommend this one if you're a fan of the Virgin New Adventures, because it feels a lot like it. Anyway, what I like about Signs and Wonders is the characters are actually really enjoyable in this adventure. Especially, I forgot his name, It was the person on the stage who was talking. He was very good in this story. He wanted to be the saviour of the world. I won't explain too much in his character because I think it would spoil it, but he basically knows something is extremely deadly coming, and he's gathered all these people, which is the crowd in the background, to say there's something coming and the angels will protect us. And there's the angel right there, which is actually an eagle, but they call themselves angels. Anyway, Sylvester McCoy is actually very good in this story, where he actually goes completely insane by a dark force which is completely making his mind absolutely crazy, and the Seventh Doctor absolutely loses it in this whole audio. He's absolutely fantastic, but I would say he's not very well used in this audio, I would say, because he's quite underused, I would say. It's mostly focused on Hex and Hector, you know. He's actually Hector in this, but something else happens. It's really confusing. I can't spoil it because you have to sort of listen to Revenge of the Swarm, Afterlife, probably Gods and Monsters as well to get this full thing without... I can't really say it because it's going to spoil it, but anyway, let's just say it's mostly focused on Hex throughout this audio adventure. Anyway, Hex is absolutely fantastic in this audio, in my opinion. I think he actually steals this because I think he's absolutely great in this one, and I do connect with his character very well. And I know a lot of people don't really like Hex, but I find him a good companion. Ace, however, a character has not really developed that well. Well, it's sort of stopped and hasn't really gone anywhere, but there's a very interesting thing that happens in this audio with the Seventh Doctor and Ace, which I won't say what happens, but it was not what I was expecting, and that was in part 4. I was like, whoa, did that really happen? But it did, and if you listen to that, you probably know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Ace and Hex's relationship is actually tested in this audio, where Hex is actually extremely angry in this one because let's just say Hex does not like to get pushed around in this audio. I think he's had enough. It does feel like at the end of Hex's era, and he's completely had enough of all this. And not really to the Doctor, because no, he didn't really show it to the Doctor or anything like that. It was mostly to Ace to say, "Stay away, Ace. I don't want to do anything with you anymore," like that, and not really to the Doctor. So that was quite surprising. So the Ace's and Hex's relationship is extremely tested. Part 1 of this adventure is absolutely fantastic. It really does test the characters absolutely, as well with part 4, which does feel so good, and it does flashbacks all the other adventures which the Doctor, Ace and Hex have had in the past, such as fighting the Cybermen in the Harvest, their first adventure in Dreamtime, the Fenric when well, I won't say what happens to Hex with Gods and Monsters. I do know what happens, and it's quite disturbing, as well with Afterlife as well, and so on and so forth. It's like at the end, it's like everything what they did and just piled it in one story to feel like a great ending. Anyway, I would say part 2 and 3 do feel a bit weak in my opinion and slows down the plot, and it becomes quite tedious, I would say, in my opinion, where the Seventh Doctor isn't in it that much, neither corresponding with other of the characters. Yet in this story I have noticed that the Doctor, Ace and Hex were all separate in this audio adventure quite a lot. Like, the Doctor was doing his own thing where his mind goes absolutely crazy. Ace was fighting when the Herodina approaches, and then Hex, I won't say what happens with Hex because that spoils it. Anyway, they're quite spread apart in this audio adventure, which is not that good. The Herodine, you might think they're the main enemy, but no, they are not. They're more of a side enemy in this as well. The main enemy in this is quite threatening in this story. He was quite annoying, but he was actually using a voice changer sort of thing. We find out what he actually is, and it's one of the Seventh Doctor's greatest foes, and he's always been a great enemy to the Seventh Doctor and no other Doctor. So I won't say what enemy it is, but it's a huge enemy to the Seventh Doctor, which I will not spoil. So my overall rating, or my final verdict of Signs and Wonders, is an 8 out of 10. It's a very good story in my opinion. Part 1 does some fantastic character development, and Part 4 really does send to an end of a brilliant era. So that was my review on Signs and Wonders. Yeah, you can't really listen to this one standalone because you would be extremely confused with the Hex and Hector side of thing. If you have not listened to Gods and Monsters, it's more Afterlife and then Revenge of the Swarm and then Mask of Tragedy, but Gods and Monsters sorts of starts it up, I would say, with this Signs and Wonders part. But anyway, you have to you have to actually listen to them, or you will not have a doohickey what the hell's going on, because you'll be so confused and you will probably hate the story. Even though I have listened to Revenge and Mask, I still find it quite confusing what was going on at the time. But I did get my head around it. I had to rewind, saying what the hell was going on. So I rewinded and I said, oh, I get it now. So you really got to pay full concentration to this audio to actually understand it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching the review. My next video, I would say, would be the review of Flatline, if my memory is correct. And my next Big Finish review of maybe Sirens of Time, or The Worlds of Doctor Who. So thank you very much for watching.